Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of my showcase of Pokémon Trinity, a fan game developed by me, Updog734. In the last episode, we got our Charmander to join our team from Professor Cedar, and I did do a little bit of level grinding off screen. I got Charmander up to 15, that took a little while, and I got Beldum up to 19. So Beldum, this should be a pretty good episode because I'm hoping we get Beldum to 20 for an evolution and Charmander to 16 for her first evolution. I noticed this while I was doing the level grinding that we got a female Charmander, which is actually pretty rare to get a female starter. And then we still have Diglett at 19 and Murkrow at 20. So for this episode, the game plan is to go through the southern portion of the Central Plains and then check out a little bit of Morkal Town. So I am here at the opposite end of the stone quarry, the second exit. In the last video we did the first exit to the western part that led to the remote grasslands. You can navigate through the little maze of rocks to get to this exit now, which leads to the Central Plains south. So right when we come out, we have this man that says, "Hey kid, could you help me out with something? I'm trying to train a rowdy bunch of Teddiursa, but they all keep running away from me and hiding. There should be 10 of them around this route. If you could round them up for me, I sure would appreciate it." So a little side quest on this route here. There's a sign that shows you where to go. Oh, and see, here's a little bug I just caught too. I've got to capitalize that second R in quarry, but I can do that later. Here's one of the Teddiursa. So when you find them, it just says, "Found you, Teddiursa." And then they go back to their trainer. So there's 10 of them. That makes 1. We'll kind of explore this part. Trainer tips talks about how every Pokemon that participates in battle will receive experience. We have a very excited youngster here to battle. So you'll notice a lot in this Central Plains route. It's very similar in style to the other one that we already went through, the western part. But then there are some noticeable differences, like we're going to have a river that crosses through this section of the Central Plains, some bridges to get over that river. Otherwise, though, they are both pretty much open, expansive areas that you can explore kind of freely, no set route. Beldum is definitely hurting for the evolution. He's getting kind of weak with his current stats. You notice that sometimes, I think, as you get closer and closer to that evolution level. It gets more difficult, obviously, with Pokemon that evolve at high levels. 20 is not very high, obviously, but I can notice already that he would definitely benefit from evolving. Another thing I thought of in between the last episode and this one is I kind of chose Charmander a little bit quickly because he's my favorite starter, but the more I thought about it, we're going to end up with 2 flying types on the team then, with Honchkrow and Charizard eventually, so we may end up switching some things around. I think Charmander's okay to stay for now, because obviously he's only fire type right now. But just something in the future, we may have to do some team editing, and who knows, by then we may have a different fire type or a different dark type to consider. But now, in hindsight, maybe we should have gotten a grass or even a water starter. Totodile is one of my favorite water starters, so he would have been an okay pick. But I used him in the last playthrough of this game, kind of when I was first play testing it. Sometimes I like to pick different people when I play games, so I also like Froakie a lot. He was a water starter I didn't mind. Same with Piplup, so there was quite a few I didn't mind actually. Fire starters usually were my favorites, and then pretty closely followed by water starters, and I do like a lot of the grass ones too. Honestly, I think the Sword and Shield starters were probably my least favorite out of like any generation. I know a lot of people like Scorbunny. I really didn't care for him. He was probably my least favorite of the 3, which is odd for me because I usually like the fire types most. But I don't know, something about Cinderace I just didn't really like. Okay, so we beat him. I'm kind of going to, keep an eye out for these Teddiursas. There's 2 of them. There's going to be 8 more. They're kind of tucked away in all the different corners of this route. There's one kind of in the middle of the grass there. So there's 3. Let's get to this item chest for a repel and a super repel. Have another trainer battle here. So this is a good example of that kind of big open patches of grass that the Central Plains are home to. Let's see, depending on how much experience, we might get that level up for Beldum here. So obviously you can kind of tell from the graphics, I think, that I'm recording this part at night. I try to do recording at different times during the day just so the showcase gets to show off some parts during the day and some parts during the night. Obviously, there's some Pokemon encounter differences and just some graphical differences. I always wondered why Flabebe's line wasn't fairy and grass. I definitely think they should be. And there you go, he's using a grass move even. I'm okay with fairy, just wish he was a double type fairy grass. I know in the last video I mentioned the possibility of making like regional variants for this game, like Zarkonian forms. I've been thinking about that ever since, I think, so I might consider doing that. It would be kind of a fun thing to do on video too, to kind of play around with different designs or different ideas, and that could be a way to showcase how I like edit different sprites. Again, I'm not really like a huge spriter or anything, but I have done some small edits to them if I think I need to. Alright, come on, Beldum. He's kind of struggling here, paralyzed and low HP, but one more hit. Max out the Oddish. Let's see if it'll be enough. Yes, just enough. Alright. So we are going to get our first evolution on our team, and pretty fitting that it is our starter. Sweet. So Metang is going to add some good strength to our team. Like I said, Beldum was feeling kind of weak. This is going to give him a nice boost. Alright, and we can definitely give him a little break now. Let's bring Charmander out front, see if we can get him to evolve too. That would be pretty cool. We're going to have to be a little bit careful because he's a little lower leveled. Any Teddiursa? Yep, there's one now. Alright, I believe that was 4. 6 more. Now, the Central Plains do have different Pokemon in the different routes that you can go on. Since there's 4 of them, I thought it would be kind of a waste to have all 4 be the same species, just different levels. So I thought it'd be better to try to switch it up, even though they're a similar route. And that'll definitely help with my goal of putting all the Pokemon in the game too. It definitely was a struggle though, so the game is past development of all 4 of the routes. I have developed all 4, so it was a struggle by the time I was on the last Central Plains route. I felt like I was running out of species that would work. And we actually get the level 16 here with Charmander in the next wild battle. Definitely are going to let him learn Dragon Rage. Especially at a low level like this, Dragon Rage is really going to be a nice move, because it deals that same amount of damage no matter what. Alright, so a second evolution in the same episode makes this one pretty exciting. And again, we're still okay here because he hasn't added that flying type to... And it really wouldn't be a big deal if we had 2 flying types on the team. I just like to try to diversify it as much as we can. Alright, cool, cool. We'll leave Charmeleon up in front because he's the lowest leveled. See if we can get him to level up some more. Okay, there's a big open area. There's another Teddiursa. This is 5, so halfway. Here's that river I was talking about in our first bridge. And another Teddiursa running back and forth on the bridge. So we'll try to stop him. Get our 6th Teddiursa. But before we cross, I want to just make sure we haven't missed anything here. The river cuts through this portion of the Central Plains. Eventually, the river drains out into the ocean. And we'll actually show that on the map. Yep, so here's the river. It will cut through the northern portion as well. And then, like he said, it drains out into the river, or the ocean. Anything we missed up there, I'll double check. Oh, someone here. The Central Plains sure are huge. I can't even see the end of them. And I think, yeah, I think we're good. I don't think we missed anything on this half. So let's cross the northern bridge here. Trainer tips. This talks about registering key items. I'm pressing F every time I open up, just like this, to see that region map. You can actually register multiple key items, which is pretty cool. We have a fisherman here that we can battle. Charmeleon is not going to match up well with this battle, so we'll switch him out. Well, you know what? Let's give him a chance and use that Dragon Rage. See if he can do it with this. Sweet, alright. Just like I was saying, that Dragon Rage is going to come in handy for a couple levels at least. Until the Pokemon we encounter start being a little higher leveled and have more HP. Yep, there's Teddiursa. That would be 7. Check for a hidden item here. Nope. Okay. Like I said in a previous episode, I know I have forgotten where I put some hidden items. Here's number 8. I believe this is a trainer to battle. Yep. Another camper. Camper Jake. This is a much better matchup for Charmeleon. Pineco and Fortress, definitely, I think, very underrated bug types. I think they're very cool, especially when Fortress gets that steel typing too. Cool designs, cool idea, the whole bit. I think bug types in general kind of get underrated. I'm saying that without any on our team right now, but there's some pretty cool bug types out there. I think people think about the early bugs when they think about bug type, like Caterpie, Weedle, but kind of forget about some of the cooler ones you can get later on in games. Okay, we beat Camper Jake. That is one of the hardest things, creating a fan game. Here's number, I can't remember now, 8 or 9. One of the hardest things when creating fan games, and it's kind of like a silly thing, is just naming everybody. Naming all the trainers and trying not to reuse names that you've used before, which wouldn't really matter, but you just kind of want to make it as many different names as possible. Here we have Fisherman Rut. And again, that Dragon Rage is going to be pretty helpful against the water types. Would be pretty cool if we could get everyone to 20 before Morkal Town. We just need Diglett to get 1 more level, so we definitely need to focus on Charmeleon. But I think we would be in pretty good shape for going into the next town then. Glad he didn't choose to go for a water move there. We'll finish him off with Scratch. Alright, got to 18. That was a lot of experience from Basco, and I didn't realize he had that big of an experience yield. Charmander, well, I like Charmander a lot, but Charmeleon has got to be one of my favorite middle stages too. I think some of the middle stages just end up looking so awkward, especially the Sword and Shield ones. I don't know that I liked any of the middle stages that much. I'm trying to think back. Even Sun and Moons, I really wasn't a huge fan of the middle stages either. They just can look awkward, I think. But Charmeleon, even Wartortle and Ivysaur, I think some of those original middle stages looked pretty good. No Teddiursa's down here. That must have been 9, so I think we have one more. So this item chest, we'll get 2 Ethers and a Wild Encounter. Growlithe, so he would have been a cool fire type. See, I forgot that he was even on this route. That's alright, we'll stick around with Charmeleon for now. I'm gonna keep fighting these wilds though, try to get that experience. That is another thing in Pokemon Trinity here. One of the things I made the difficulty increase as you go, which most Pokemon games do, but mine I think does it in a way that you really do have to do some training in the wild to be able to complete the different gym leaders and different challenges that you run into, because if you don't do that extra training, which I do a lot of it off screen, but you'll really struggle. So here I think is the last Teddiursa. It doesn't say anything. I think you have to go check with that trainer. She says, Morkal Town gives me the creeps. Something about that place just doesn't feel right, you know? And that gives you a little indication of what Morkal Town is going to be like. Okay. There's the exit to Morkal Town we just passed. Let's try to... This might be the last trainer on the route, so if that's the case, we'll run back to the Teddiursa trainer and talk to him, because I think we got all 10. So we have a Dragon Tamer here. I know I've mentioned before Fire and Dragon are two of my favorite types, so I really like Dragon Tamers. It's a shame that Charizard didn't end up being Dragon and or Fire and Dragon. I get it, he has wings for flying type, but I think it would be cool. He definitely looks like a dragon at least. I liked that his one Mega Evolution was Fire and Dragon, but I actually think I liked the design of Mega Charizard Y a little bit better. I like them both, but... Oh, I want to keep Charmeleon out, but I'm a little nervous he's going to faint. So you know what, let's switch to Diglett, because that should be enough to get to 19 for Charmeleon, even if we switch. And then we can share some of that experience with Diglett. They're using that Dragon Breath. Hopefully they don't paralyze. Okay, good stuff. We will go with Bulldoze. I'm going to check after this battle, because Bulldoze has been pretty good while we got a critical hit, but I'm wondering if Bulldoze or Magnitude are technically better. And then obviously Magnitude carries the chance that, you know, you get a lower damage off. Let me check real quick. I'm just curious. Okay, so Diglett... Okay, so its power varies, so I'll have to look up what the different Magnitude levels are. But Bulldoze with 60 power is a pretty good base move, so I'm going to switch those around so Bulldoze is first. Okay, you know what? Let's let Diglett get to 20, because he's pretty close. You know what? Honestly, I do not even remember what level Diglett evolves. I know it's somewhere in the 20s. I don't think it's actually 20. I think it's like 22, 24, or something like that. Do we battle this fisherman? Yeah, we did. Okay. Alright, yeah, so it looks like we beat all the trainers on this part of the Central Plains. So let's kind of sneak back to the Teddiursa trainer. There he is. Okay. So he says, wow, you found all of the Teddiursa. Thanks a bunch. Maybe 10 is too many for one person to handle. Didn't you say one of them was running back and forth over the bridge? Here, you can have that one. So just a kind of funny thing, that one that was running back and forth crazy, he lets you have. So, like I've mentioned, there's some Pokemon that are going to be kind of like rare to get, so Teddiursa is probably going to be one of them. This will probably be the only Teddiursa that you're able to get in the game, if you like him to add to your team. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about if we want to keep him on the team for now. I don't use a lot of normal types, but he's already level 15. I'll have to think about that for the next video. I think I'm going to initially say no, that we're going to pass on him as a team member. So we'll put him in a box eventually, but let's see, did we battle him too? I always forget if we've encountered them or if it's a different trainer. Okay, so that looks like we pretty much finished up this part of the Central Plains. Let's see how close these guys are. Diglett, 1 or 2 more battles. And then Charmeleon, a couple battles too. I'm gonna say let's level up Diglett, and then I'll let Charmeleon hang out at 19 for now, just to kind of showcase Morkal Town in this video, and then I might level him up to 20 off screen. I think that might be a good way to do it. So here is a Shellmet. He's a pretty rare encounter in this route. And another important thing to note is that some of the evolutions that wouldn't be possible in a fan game like this, because I don't have any internet connection, so for trading purposes, excuse me, there will be a way to evolve those people later on in the game. So not to worry about that. If you did like Shellmet and a Selgor, you could definitely catch one here and evolve one eventually. It's not until a little bit later in the game though, so. All of the people that evolve with items and trade, so can't think of any that come to mind right now, but people that have to be holding an item like Onyx. So if you normally give him the Metal Coat and trade him to evolve into Steelix, basically the Metal Coat would act as an evolutionary item in my game, just to make things a little more simplistic. Actually, it's interesting that I chose that example because I had to change something with the Metal Coat, because the Metal Coat acts as a held item that boosts the power of Steel-type moves, and it acts as an evolutionary trade item in the regular Pokemon game, so it has kind of a twofold effect. I didn't know how to code that really in this game to let it do two things, so I made them two separate items to where the Metal Coat just, I believe I left the Metal Coat as the one that just powers up Steel-type moves as a held item, and then I created another item called a Steel Shell, which essentially looks the same as a Metal Coat, but that one's the evolutionary item. So just a little like kink I had to work out. I'm sure there's probably a way to code it as being able to do two things, but I was messing with it for a while and couldn't really figure it out, so I just decided why not make them two items. Hoping Diglett will be able to get to 20, 1 or 2 more battles. Maybe Shellmet isn't that rare in this route. We ran into a few of them now. Let's see if we can get a high magnitude. 7, not too bad. If we got like 10, it'd probably knock him out, so let's just keep using magnitude. I don't think 8 will get him knocked out. Maybe close. Oh, not as close as I thought. Wow. Let's switch over to Bulldoze, see if I can feint him quicker. Pretty excited we got 2 evolutions in this video though, that's pretty cool. Team is definitely growing. And Morkal Town coming up is probably the town that I'm most proud of at this point. Centrico City was a big undertaking, so that one I'm proud of too. But Morkal Town was really, really fun to make. So I'm excited to show that one off. Alright, so Diglett gets to 20 finally. And like I said, we'll just leave Charmeleon at 19 for now. Okay, so let me do a quick save here to make sure everything works. But if you try to enter into Morkal Town, a mysterious voice says, "Get out." And that's all that happens. So if you talk to this woman, though, she says, "Trainer, please, you have to help me. My name is Linna. I'm from Morkal Town. Our town is not right. My husband and I think we know what's wrong, but we need help. Will you please help us?" Of course we will. She says, "Oh, thank you. Let's go to our house. My husband can explain more. This may be strange, but I need you to hold my hand while we cross over into Morkal Town. For some reason, my husband and I are able to come and go, but others are having difficulty entering and leaving Morkal Town." So that lines up with what Elliot told us, that it seems like there's a weird energy trying to keep people out. "Alright, this way, dear." So she lets us in. She says, "Are you okay? I felt a strange presence as we entered town. Let's go. Our house is just up ahead." It's very foggy in this town, very eerie. "Lynette? Who's this? Did you find a trainer willing to help us?" "That's right, dear. Their name is Updog." "Pleased to meet you, Updog. Sorry, but I'm afraid I don't have much time for pleasantries. I'm Morty. I see you've already met my wife, Lynette." So most seasoned Pokemon players will recognize Morty as the gym leader from Johto. It says, "But you haven't met all of my family yet. After I retired from the Johto League, I came to Zarko and met Lynette. 10 years ago, Lynette gave birth to our beautiful baby girl, Elise. Elise was always odd. She has a strange connection to the unseen. 6 years ago, this woman named Libra came to town." So obviously, that's going to be one of the Zodiac sisters. He says, "Our little girl looked up to the gym leader so much. She was heartbroken when they closed down the gym. She wouldn't stop crying for days. Then, one night, she woke up in the middle of the night, standing there at the edge of our bed. All she said was, 'I have to go. They're calling for me.' I figured she was just having a nightmare, so I put her back to bed. But then, she was gone in the morning. We haven't seen her since. I know it must sound crazy, but I know she's still alive. I think she's connected to the strange mist surrounding Morkal Town. And I think I know where she is. Have you seen the old mansion in town? I tried going in there once to search for her, but it didn't go well. Something paralyzed me as soon as I walked in. I couldn't move a muscle. Next thing I knew, I woke up at home. I've tried going back in countless times, but something paranormal's keeping us out. Now we've been searching for trainers willing to help us. Most of them go crazy when trying to enter town. They leave babbling incoherently. But you didn't. Something must be special about you. Please, I beg you, you have to try to get into the mansion and search for Elise. The only thing I have to offer you in assistance is this lantern." So you get a ghostly lantern from him. He says, "That's no ordinary lantern, though. Its light was crafted with the help of my ghost Pokemon. It will never go out. With it, you should be able to enter and leave town through the west gate whenever you please. But the spirits guarding the north and east entrances seem to be stronger and more malevolent. Please, let me know if you're able to find our little girl." Alright, so some big storyline things here. I'll show off that item, the ghostly lantern, a little bit, because it's one that I created. So there's a little image. It says, a strange lantern glowing with a ghostly light allows passage out of Morkal Town to the west. So as long as you have the item on you, you can go in and out of this exit. It says the ghostly lantern shines with an eerie light. Same thing going back in. Okay, so we can get in and out there, but if you try to leave the north or the eastern, it says this: stay forever. So you're kind of stuck in Morkal Town, except for that entrance to the west. So let's go to the Pokemon Center and heal, because our team is hurting a little bit. We have all these people holed up in the Pokemon Center, so we'll talk to them and see some of their opinions on this ghostly mist that's keeping everybody in. I'm afraid of ghosts. I'll just stay inside for now. Ghost types aren't even that scary. I'm just inside to watch the news. Ever since the thick fog settled in around Morkal Town, people are afraid to go outside. I was just trying to pass through this dismal little town, and now I'm stuck here. Maybe one day I'll finally get to leave. This guy tried to buy a bunch of repels to escape town, but it didn't work. And he says, ugh, this Pokemon Center is so packed with people. Let's drop off Teddiursa for now into our box system. Just so we have that available space if we find someone we want. Okay. I'll do a quick save here. Alright, and then we'll go do a little bit of exploring in Morkal Town. It's a pretty small town. Just a couple houses to check out. My grandpa thinks Morkal Town is haunted. I guess it makes sense. Whenever I try to leave to train my Pokemon, I feel invisible hands grabbing me and pulling me back into town. It's really freaky. Grandpa here says, I've lived in Morkal Town for my entire life, and never has it been like this. I fear the town may be haunted. And he, in fact, is on to something, so the source of the haunting is what we're going to look into. So here is Morty and Lynette's house. Here we find another gym that says the same thing as Larkin City. The gym has been officially closed by order of Delvin Drabeck. Same type of building. Obviously, Greta's gym was run out of the stone quarry, so she didn't have a building. So here is Morkal Mansion. Good little view of it. I think that might have been it. Is there only 2 towns in here? I thought I made 3. I could be wrong, though. Okay, yeah, just the 2 and the gym. So it's a very, very small town. But here, Morkal Mansion is where we are headed next to try to find Morty's daughter, Elise. And we are going to do that in the next episode. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. I think that's been long enough to see the next part of the Central Plains and kind of get the storyline piece started for Morkal Town. So if you're excited to see the Morkal Mansion, which is a pretty cool ghostly town that I've made, or I guess place that I've made, definitely tune into the next episode because that is going to all be about Morkal Mansion. We'll tackle the entire mansion in the next episode. So if you've been enjoying Pokemon Trinity, as always, you can leave a like or a comment. If you want a copy for yourself, comment that and I'll definitely hook you up with one. Otherwise, I'll see everyone in the next video.